Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, mental performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. Now, I was talking to an athlete the other day who is a tennis player, and we were discussing the importance of paying attention to her thoughts between points. And so what I want to share in this video is I want to talk about the idea of paying attention to our thoughts while we compete. And this is very important if you play tennis, if you play squash, or if you play table tennis, or any other sport where there are many points going back and forth like that, and then you have to reset, such as volleyball would be another sport. But it's also incredibly important if you play basketball, if you're a swimmer, if you play baseball, football, or really any sport. Because the idea that I'm discussing here is the importance of paying attention to the way we think in response to things that happen during competition. Now, for example, with that tennis player, she and I were discussing how after points, if her thoughts get too negative, she's then in a negative position for the next point. So she's hung up on that last point, she's beating herself up over it, so now she's not as ready as she needs to be for that next point. However, when she's able to have more positive thinking and confident thoughts after that point that she just lost, she's then in a better position to play this next point well. When she allows this negative thinking to take over, her confidence drops and she is distracted. And with a sport like tennis, there are many different points throughout the match, right? So she's going to have all these different opportunities to have either good thoughts or bad thoughts. And if she's having a lot of bad thoughts, her confidence is continuing to drop. And then she has some good thoughts, so then her confidence comes back up. And what we see happen is we see a roller coaster of emotions take place during an actual match. And this is something that's true also for baseball players, football, basketball, swimmers, whatever sport you play. If your thinking changes as a result of what happens during the game or during the competition, we will see your emotions go up and down. What then happens as your emotions go up and down is inconsistency forms within your performance. So let's say with this, back to the tennis player example, let's say that her confidence goes down. So now she has another point where her confidence has dropped and she's not very focused. It's less likely that she's going to win that point. So then her confidence is going to go further down and she's going to be even more distracted and she'll start beating herself up more. So now what's going to happen is she's going to keep losing these points until something happens that can bring her out of this negative spiral, such as winning a point to where now she's going to start feeling a little bit better about herself. But when this takes place, right, when these negative thoughts take place after she misses a point or after she makes a mistake, her thoughts start to dictate and control her performance because one negative thought turns into another lost point because she's distracted and less confident, which then feeds into another negative thought. This is why it's so critical for her to make sure she's paying attention to her thoughts after every point. And if we were having the conversation where we were saying, if there's one thing that's the most important for her when it comes to playing well, it is controlling her thinking during the match. Because her skills are what her skills are going to be that day. She can't really control her skills too much. She's put in a lot of work and a lot of preparation. But the one thing we see get in her way time and time again is that her thinking turns sour and turns negative after she misses a point or loses a point, and makes a mistake. So then she gets upset and frustrated with herself. So for yourself, if you're playing a different sport, no matter what the sport is, like I was saying, you have this opportunity to either think positively or negatively during the performance after things happen. And we want to make sure that we are taking control of our thoughts after things happen, instead of allowing our thoughts to be a pure reaction to what happens. Now, the truth is, when something bad happens during a game or during a match, our thoughts will likely mirror that thing, right? So the tennis player misses a point, naturally she's going to have a thought of, man, that sucked, why did I miss that point, why did I do that, that was so stupid. We know that that thought is going to naturally pop into her mind. So instead of saying that she can't ever have these negative thoughts, we turn our attention instead onto how we respond to our responses to these situations. So for example, she has a thought of, that sucked, I can't believe I did that, that was so stupid. If she doesn't try to change that thought and have a better thought before the next point happens, that thought's going to take over and negatively impact her next point. But if she can step in and she can have more of a positive thought and response where she says, that's all right, forget about it, let's refocus and get this next one. That simple thought right there, right? That's going to help her refocus and be in a better position to play the next point well. So for yourself, don't try to control the initial thought because we know those initial thoughts are automatic and they're going to be a reaction to whatever has just happened. But what you do want to make sure you pay attention to is your mental response to the thought you had in response or reaction to whatever happened. And this is going to be one of the most powerful things for you to start doing, because when our thoughts turn against us during games or during practices, our thoughts start to tear us down and they lead to worse and worse performances. But if we can stay positive, if we can make sure that our thoughts stay productive throughout the match, throughout the game, no matter what happens, that's where you'll find yourself playing more consistently and you'll play with more confidence on a regular basis. So I know this was a shorter video, but I just wanted to cover that quick idea of making sure that during the competition or during the game, you are paying attention to your thoughts. And that is one of the most important things for you, and it's a priority for you because you recognize that if your thoughts turn negative, so will your performance. Just because something bad happens during the game or during the match does not mean that you have to allow your thoughts to be a pure reaction to that. Yes, automatically you'll have some negative thoughts, but let's work on changing that to get you reset and refocused for whatever is about to happen next. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. And if you're interested in any of the sports psychology programs I have available, I've put links to those in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.